all you Slashaholics. Welcome to Slash Sisters. I am Slash Sister Jen.
And I am Slash Sister Hallie, and we want to welcome you back to our channel for horror movie reviews by true horror movie fans.
That's right, that's us.
Thank you. Every Friday at least.
Mm-hmm. And if you're new here, welcome. We do fun horror stuff here. And we don't want you to miss out on any of it, so make sure you slash that subscribe button.
Today, for the first time on our channel, we delve into a new subgenre of horror that is the found footage subgenre.
Yes, indeed. There is a lot. This subgenre is actually really large and has a lot of really great stuff in it, and has some real trash stuff too.
It dates back older than what most avid horror fans think too.
Mm-hmm. Previous to the Blair Witch, there was actually a movie called The Last Broadcast, which was probably is pretty much coined as being like the first found footage horror film.
When was that?
It was 96, I think.
Oh no. It dates even further back.
Okay.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, well, that's true. Yes.
That was the found footage.
For sure.
In fact, they actually had to prove
come to court and prove that they were still alive.
Right.
Yeah, the actors did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one movie that I don't have any desire to ever cover on this channel, so hopefully you don't either.
No. Although I give props where props is due to the filmmakers behind that, because it is a cult classic.
And it was a really like a new thing that nobody had ever done before. It was genius,
right?
To the point where, like you said, the actors had to come to court to prove that they were alive. The part of found footage that I actually really love and I think works really, really well for quite a few films. It worked really well for Blair Witch Project, and I think it really worked really, really well for Paranormal Activity, which we are getting to right now. But the viral marketing behind things.
The viral marketing, I think the other aspect of it that I really enjoy is the fact that in a lot of found footage films, the actors go by their first names in the film.
Well, yeah, and not just their first names. These actors, their names, they use their entire full names. Like, that's their...
Yeah, but not their last names.
Right.
I mean, Blair Witch did it. The sequel to Blair Witch did it. Mm-hmm. This did it.
Yep.
It's effective, and I think it elicits a little bit more of a raw emotion when you're not having to think of a character's name that you're talking to, and you just you're talking to the person that way. Exactly,
and maybe that's the reason that they do it in more found footage films like that, because you're so much more immersed in. It is very much a method acting for everyone, sort of situation, which I think that's really unique and interesting, and I think there's a lot of really good found footage horror films out there.
There's. This film was shot on a budget of about $15,000.
They did get more, to refilm some things after Paramount picked it up, but initially, $15,000 was about the budget of it.
Which means basically the actors got no fucking
I read
capital.
Somewhere that they got $500 each. For all of their time filming. I mean, they spent weeks filming this, you know? They were sleeping in that house. The footage of them sleeping is them really sleeping.
They're not actually sleeping. They're acting.
Right.
And the camera's sped up.
Right. But they spent all of that time and made $500.
Irregardless, about $15,000 was the budget for this film, and it is widely known as one of the most profitable films ever, bringing in $194 million worldwide at the box office.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is nuts.
That is such a huge return on investment. Like, oh, that's crazy. That is crazy. And you know, the thing is, it's like with independent films, if they hit, you can do that, you know?
Right. Well, also, if they don't hit, you're not out, millions of dollars either. So, when you have,
there's been plenty of millions and millions of dollar horror films, and just films in general, that straight flop, you know?
Oh, yeah. I watched one today that... Not horror, but anyway. But when you have backing behind Paramount with it and stuff like that on such a minuscule budget, it's going to be more successful.
For sure. They
honestly.
were able to do a marketing campaign before the film came out.
It also launched the careers of some very prominent people in the horror industry as well.
This is Oren Peli's very first film. He wrote, directed, photographed, produced, and edited the entire film. And he would go on to produce the Insidious franchise with James Wan and Lee Whannell. They're favorites of our channel.
I think Jason Blum was also an executive producer on this as well.
Yeah.
So this is one of his earlier works at
Absolutely.
the time. I think this might have actually been his first foray into horror, too.
Yep.
But anyway, why don't we just go ahead and jump into the super creepy, supernatural horror film that is
Paranormal Activity.
We open on the story with text reading, Paramount Pictures would like to thank the families of Micah Sloat and Katie Featherstone and the San Diego Police Department. Kind of reminiscent of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, what I do like about this, and not even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre does this, there's no credits.
No.
Nothing. No title card. No.
But it's 30 seconds of black screen.
Yeah.
Because I watched, I was waiting for it because I saw the counter on my thing and I was like, was there a post-credit scene for this?
But I think what I kind of like about that is that it kind of leads you in thinking, it gives you that feel of, oh, this is real.
Yeah.
It gives you that real feeling. Katie and Micah have moved in together.
Micah?
It's Micah.
I heard it pronounced Micah.
It's definitely Micah. Anyways, we're gonna do it again.
No.
Anyways, Micah and Katie have moved in together in a house in San Diego, California, and since moving in together, they've begun to experience weird sounds and things moving in the house with no real explanation for it.
There's an explanation, but we don't find that out until later in the series.
Yes.
Because there is 7 films in this series, with the exception of the most recent one, Next of Kin. All of them do tie into the next one, kind of.
The first 2 especially, because they pretty much take place at the same time.
Right. Katie claims an evil presence has been haunting her ever since she was a young child. So, Micah, I'm pronouncing it Micah because that's how I've always heard it pronounced.
I'm going to keep saying it Micah.
Gets a camera to try to capture the weird things going on in their house. It makes you wonder if he had not bought the camera, if it would have escalated to the scale that it did.
Yeah, I wonder that too, because we do find out later that this has happened to Katie before.
Mm-hmm.
In that circumstance, Katie's house burned down. And they were never able to figure out what caused the fire. So, yes, it could have been him escalating things, but I think no matter what happens,
something was going to
happen eventually.
But I think he exacerbated the situation and upscaled it faster and made
lots of different things that he does throughout this movie.
Right.
I've got issues with Micah. Anyways, the plan is to set up the camera in their bedroom and record any paranormal activity that occurs while they are sleeping.
Hey, name drop. Katie gets in contact with psychic Dr. Fredericks, who comes to the house to visit Micah and Katie.
This is going to be fun. Dr. Fredericks believes that that it is actually Katie that is being haunted and not the house. And likely by a demon that feeds off of negativity and really just wants to torment Katie. And, from what she's told them, basically he kind of thinks that, this demon's been following you your entire life.
She said something like this happened to her and her younger sister, Christy, when they were kids, ultimately resulting in their house burning down and them losing everything. Not even having pictures.
Yes.
This comes into play later.
Yes,
pay attention,
very
folks.
important. He advises them not to communicate with the demon without the help of a demonologist. But Micah continues to film and continues to talk to it.
He antagonizes the
fuck
he does. Katie makes...
Sorry, as as a person who believes in paranormal things.
Oh, I am a firm believer too. I do paranormal ghost hunts and stuff. So,
two, as someone who has experienced paranormal activity
Same.
in my own personal life.
Same.
I don't fuck with that shit. Sorry, I'm not trying to like provoke something. If you've obviously got something that is happening and it's not nice. It's not a nice spirit that you're encountering. Do not provoke it. Like, Mika makes me so mad. I want to punch him every time I watch this movie. Anyways.
Katie makes Micah promise that he will not buy a Ouija board. Which he doesn't. To be fair, he does not buy the Ouija board. He borrows a Ouija board from a friend.
Yeah. But I think even when he makes that promise, like when he says, I promise I won't buy a Ouija board, I'm like, oh, he's breaking that promise.
Well,
he's going to find a way around it.
Right.
He will find some way to, like, bring a Ouija board. And we already knew the second that he said something about it, I was like...
And mind you, the Ouija board that he brings into the house has an inverted pentagram on it.
Yeah,
too.
it does. It's not just like a, like the Ouija board that we have. Like, we've got, like, the regular Parker Brothers Ouija board. This thing is, like, fancy schmancy with a really nice planchette, and
it looks like a wood board with a nice, like, resin glass top to it, or whatever, you know. It looks like a very nice board, but with an inverted pentagram on it. Which, okay, you know...
like, sounds like something I would have in my house.
Right. We like inverted pentagrams.
I'd have that in my house. Yeah.
But we're also not trying to use them to communicate with a fucking demon. And
these people seem like kind of white bread, you know? Like, they don't seem like they would have pentagrams in their house. I'm just
white bread.
Vanilla. I mean, there's lots of other descriptions that I can go through.
I mean, as opposed to what? Rye bread?
Yes.
Sourdough, maybe.
Pumpernickel. Okay.
Pumpernickel.
I'd like to call myself Pumpernickel.
This looks like a job for the Scarlet Pumpernickel.
So anyways, the camera ends up capturing, I mean, among lots of, like, just exposition and them, like, hanging out at the house, like, eating and, like, doing annoying shit.
So he brings the Ouija board in, right, and he puts it down on the coffee table, and Katie immediately gets pissed off, and she leaves. And he follows her. The camera, obviously, because it's on a tripod, stays there. And we see gusts of wind blowing plants and stuff like that, and then we see the planchette moving on the Ouija board,
like back and forth, almost in like I guess not in a figure eight, but it's definitely making some kind of a message.
It's spelling out something because he's trying to figure out later in the film what it was trying to spell. But then the planchette slides across the Ouija board and ignites a fire on said Ouija board.
Yeah, it's so it's gone from noises in the house and like waking them up in the middle of the night to now starting a fire in their house. It does go out pretty quickly. It doesn't like light the house on fire.
No, but
it just kind of like it looks like it was clearly like lighter fluid.
Which, by the way, I believe that was a practical effect.
Oh, I'm sure it was. They did a lot of really cool practical effects with this,
and it's effective. It's very effective.
Absolutely. So yeah, the camera captures all kinds of strange occurrences through the night. They start off as like minor noises and flickering lights
and stuff like that.
Bedroom door moving and stuff like that, but does it escalate?
Over time, the sounds and lights escalate to loud thuds, violent door slamming, and demonic grunts and screeches.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know. I mean, I guess putting myself in that situation would be, man. So one night, Katie appears to be in a trance. She gets up, stands beside the bed at 3 o'clock in the morning?
No, 1. It's
1 o'clock in the morning?
It's like almost 1:30, and she stands there for almost 2 hours.
2 hours staring at Mika.
Which which is I thought weird because the witching hour is always supposed to be like 3 a.m.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But then she goes outside
and just sits down on like a patio swing.
Yeah.
Micah finds her in the backyard, sitting on said swing, in a very drowsy state. When
she was acting weird. Like she was possessed almost, you know?
Right. When he goes inside, he finds the TV on in the bedroom, and Katie suddenly appears, not remembering anything that had just happened.
Yeah.
So, she's being almost possessed, or...
Possibly possessed.
We'll call it possession, because
Yeah.
something took a hold of her. It was clearly not sleepwalking.
Right.
And now she's, like, alert and ready to go.
Yeah. So it's like right after this that Mika brings the Ouija board home, and justifies it by saying that he borrowed it from a friend, like a fucking twat.
Right.
Yeah. But like we said earlier, you know, when they leave, the thing lights on fire. But yeah, it's after this that like you can tell that like Katie,
she gets fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like the arguments that kind of happen between Katie and Mika at this point in the movie like feel very real. I mean, I've been in arguments like that, not because my partner brought home a Ouija board, but I've been in fights like that. You know, like where like
Same.
You know, like where you're just like so pissed off at the other person.
Right, like you just can't believe that they did something so fucking dumb.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, she's like increasingly aggravated by his behavior and basically just like pleads with him like we need to call the demonologist. And he refuses. He's like, we're not calling that guy.
One evening, Micah convinces Katie that they will catch it by sprinkling baby powder all over the floor to find the footprints of whatever is. Which, honestly, to be fair,
this is a really cool effect.
It's a cool effect, but it's also something that is actually done in legit paranormal investigations to see if there is an unseen force being manipulating things, or if it's somebody in the house.
I think my eye roll one is that he doesn't want help from anybody outside of he thinks that he can just handle this.
No,
clearly he can't.
No.
And the other thing is like he just escalates everything and makes things worse. He makes everything worse, you guys.
I mean,
I blame it on him. I blame it all on him.
Isn't that typically what a man does?
I didn't say it. She did.
I'm lesbian. I can't say that.
So, yeah, they awake one night, that night, after he puts the powder out, to find non-human footprints in the hallway that leads to the ladder to the attic.
Well, it not just that, but there's like clearly a noise that awakes them to find it, and they when they get to the ladder to the attic,
it's open, right?
It's like the board is ajar.
It's opened. Yeah.
In the attic, Micah finds a burned picture of Katie from when she was a child. Now, remember when we said earlier that they lost everything, including photographs.
And basically, she's just kind of like, this shouldn't even exist. Like,
right.
This
It can't exist.
Yeah.
And she asks where he found it, and apparently it was directly above where they sleep.
Their bed. Yeah. Woo, creepy. Yeah, creepy. Katie attempts to reach the demonologist that Dr. Fredericks had suggested to them, but he is out of the country, so she calls Dr. Fredericks again.
This
interaction with Dr. Fredericks is kind of comical.
It's comical, but it's also the dumbest fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when he comes back to the house, he tries to leave. Like he sets foot in the house. He's like, "Oh no, I can't.
I can't be here.
I can't be here. I have to get out of here." Because he can sense the demon doesn't want him there, and he is afraid that in his presence,
being there, like
will antagonize and provoke the demon further. But if that's how you feel, shouldn't you be there and trying to help those people?
Yeah.
But no, his ass just...
No, he's like, I gotta go, bye. Good luck with this.
Stage left.
And he literally does. He's like, good luck, Dr. whatever his name is.
Right.
He'll get with you when he's back. He'll be back in a couple of days.
Fucking asshat.
Yeah, like, he literally just, leaves them to fucking rot.
Like, so you're upset with Micah throughout all this. Yeah. I'm upset with his ass.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, for similar reasons, but, I mean,
sure.
he left them holding the fucking bag.
Yeah, for sure.
When he's supposed to be the expert and knows how to deal with this shit, and he's like, nah, fuck it, I'm out.
I'm out. Sorry. Don't want any of
Wash
this
my hands of
nonsense.
this weirdness.
Yeah. Yeah. The next night, Katie is pulled out of the bed. Like, literally, this scene, I wouldn't know how they did it, to be honest.
Near as I can figure is they probably did a combination of wire movement and green screen technology.
Yeah. Because, they actually filmed this for only $15,000. So, they really...
But because it was filmed with that filter of... You can hide stuff a lot better than an actual, film camera.
Right, because it's in dark mode.
Right, it's a night vision mode, but it's also, on a handy cam, a camcorder, not, an actual, high-grade 4K camera. Not that they had 4K back then, but still.
Right, but not a high-quality, studio camera.
Right.
But yeah, so, she gets pulled out of the bed. Literally, her foot is the sheet kind of floats up a little bit, and then her foot is pulled, and she is yanked out of the bed, and Mika finds her downstairs.
The entity drug her down the fucking
drags
steps.
her down the stairs. Which we don't see, because, we see her get dragged down the stairs, but the camera's still in the position.
Right.
Of course, Mika, grabs the camera everywhere he goes. I don't know who does that. I'm sorry, if my partner was just ripped out of the bed by an unseen force, my first thought would not be to grab the camera, personally. But it's a movie, and it has to go somewhere.
Right.
Anyways, but he ends up finding, the next morning, they find a big old bite mark on Katie's back. And this basically motivates him to get out of the house, and then Katie abruptly decides, no, we've got to stay.
Yeah. Which is odd, because she's been wanting to leave this entire time.
Begging to leave. We've got to go. We've got to go to a hotel. We got to go somewhere.
And the second this unseen entity makes physical contact with her, she immediately wants to stay. A clue, Sherlock, a clue. One night, on night 21 to be precise, Katie gets out of bed again and stares at Micah for roughly 2 fucking hours. And again, it was about at 1:30 in the morning, too.
Yep.
Before going downstairs.
Yeah. Katie then screams for Mika, and he jumps out of bed and rushes down the stairs to help her.
As soon as he gets downstairs, we hear Micah screaming in pain, then a loud thud of him hitting the ground.
Yeah, and then moments later, Mika's body is thrown at the camera, which knocks the camera to the floor,
And it's tilted on its side at this point.
Yeah.
So it's still mounted to the tripod and everything.
Yeah.
We see Katie slowly and nonchalantly,
and the footsteps sound so
menacing,
loud. Yeah, it's.
But
weird.
She casually walks in, and I swear to God, there's a split second where she's staring into the lens of the camera and her face morphs.
Yeah, for just a second.
It's like a split. It's blink and you'll miss it kind of thing, and but it kind of morphs into almost like a demon.
I think that was part of the refilms that they did once Paramount picked it up, and they actually used a little bit of CGI to make her face do that.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
Yeah, because the only thing they changed once Paramount picked it up was the ending. They reshot some stuff. There's actually 2 additional alternate endings that were never shown, really.
Well, there's also I think there's
an alternate
unrated
cut on here.
Yeah. But anyway, she make the shift in her face, right, and then she lunges at the camera, and it I think
that's
it cuts the black there, and I said, it's 30 seconds of blackness, no credits or anything like that.
Yeah, and then there's a cut screen that kind of comes up at the end that says that Micah's body was discovered by police, and that Katie is still missing. So, and that's the end of the film. That's it. And I don't think we get end credits either, do we? Is there any scroll at the end of it? No. I think that's it.
No, because I think the credit... Well, were there credits at the beginning? I can't even
remember. There was
now.
No credits in the beginning. I know that for a fact because I actually... I went to get script ready for today's video, I went and pulled it back up so that I could see exactly what the opening card said, and there's absolutely no credits in the beginning.
So that makes you want... that makes you wonder, because I know for a fact that you have to have some type of credits for everybody that was involved in the production of the film.
Opening card says Paramount Pictures would like to thank, and the only 2 real actors that were in the movie, so there's their credits.
Right, but it goes against so many guilds.
Yeah.
To not have credits. I know, because when George.
So maybe there is end credits. There might not be in the opening
when
credits.
George Lucas did Star Wars in '77, he got fined for not having credits at the beginning of the film and putting them all at the end. When he went and did Empire Strikes Back in '80, they fined him again, and they were like, "Look, you have to put the credits at the beginning of the film." And he's like, "No,
I don't.
No, I'm not doing that." And as a result, he can't work with anybody like in the Screen Actors Guild or anything like that.
Wow.
He has to work with people that are like not associated with the guild.
Wow.
Because he's been banned from it because of his lack of cooperation and whatever you want to call it. So it just makes you wonder who ate the fine on that.
Yeah.
I bet I had to have been Paramount.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I'm sure they had a reason for wanting to do that.
Well, yeah, to make it look like it was a more of a legit, found footage film and everything like that.
So yeah, that's where the movie ends. That is that. That's it. Of course, we do have quite a few sequels.
Six more movies,
that
and they're actually
more into the story.
There
I've
actually
only
is
seen the first 3.
There actually is a documentary of the making of this too.
Yeah,
like
you
a
told me
full-fledged
that, yeah.
documentary called like Into Another Dimension.
Yeah.
The filming of Paranormal Activity or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Um,
I think this was like, for one thing, it was very groundbreaking for the time.
Absolutely.
It had a really cool viral marketing campaign where, like, honestly, like, going into it, I wasn't sure. I knew it wasn't real.
No, because you can't,
But
by law, you cannot show snuff films in theaters.
Right, but I did not know it wasn't real when I saw the Blair Witch Project. So
everybody thought it was real at the Blair Witch Project.
So, like, I mean, I was already under the assumption, having already seen the Blair Witch Project and knowing how found footage films worked, I knew that it wasn't real. But I loved what they did with this film. I think that the practical work that they did,
the practical work on top of, the use of, like, very minimal, like, CG and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like I said, I think the only CG that they used was just at the very end. They may have put, I think they used some when they did the footprints and stuff. And maybe a little bit of, but, like, most of the work was practical, like, lifting the sheet by using
wires and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I know that when Lee Winnell actually went to do Invisible Man, and we talked about it briefly, he actually went to the guys that made this to see how they did it on such a minuscule budget, so he could get it as close to, like, not having to use as much CG work as he initially thought he was going to have to.
He knew he was going to have to use a lot of CG because of the suit and everything.
But he wanted to keep it to a minimal,
Yeah.
That being said, story-wise, I love this franchise. I think it's a great overarching story, but this movie is paced so fucking slow. It's like, there's like minutes where you're just like...
The second half of the movie is paced pretty well.
But the first half, you're like, God, fucking something happened.
Right, like, I don't need to watch you brush your teeth 12 times.
No.
I really don't.
No.
I don't need to see you standing around.
I don't need to
ready
see you
for
eating
bed
fucking cereal in the
morning. Yeah.
No.
Like, there was some obvious things at the beginning of the film that were boring. That made the movie boring.
Honestly, to me, it
was trying to establish like a status quo, like this is normal life, they're normal people.
But to me, watching it was like trying to review footage from an actual paranormal investigation, which is fucking tedious and boring. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I love the story.
Yeah, I
absolutely love the story. So it's like a machete.
It's a bloody machete up for me. I think the first time that I saw it, it definitely freaked me out. It gave me, like, that feeling of, like, as someone who has experienced my own paranormal activities, I personally was shook by this movie.
Same.
So it's a bloody machete up for me. It doesn't have the same effect on me now as it did the first time I saw it.
Like, again,
obviously,
we're so desensitized.
Right. But also, I think, like you said, and you pointed it out to me a couple days ago, was that the pacing of it is very...
It's
monotonous
just
at the very
it's
beginning.
So slow. And that's honestly the only gripe I have with it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a bloody machete up, but it's a soft bloody machete up because of the pacing of it.
Sure.
But, you know what? We're going to go ahead and get this out of here. And we'll send that back.
Let's send it to search for Katie. Maybe he can find Katie.
Or just, I was going to say send it to the other dimension.
Yeah. Well,
because there is a film later in the
is it
series called Ghost Dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we should try and work on another franchise. We've got one franchise that we've done a couple of already, and it's a smaller
Nightmare?
franchise.
Oh, no, not Nightmare.
It's a smaller franchise, so
Evil Dead?
and it features one of my favorite men in the world. Mr.
Oh, it is Evil
Tony
Dead.
Todd.
Oh,
him
no.
too. Him too. Okay.
Tony
He's not,
Todd?
I said one of my, not my
Right.
favorite man in the world.
Right.
I'm not talking about Bruce. Come on.
So we've decided that for the rest of the year, we're going to not solely focus on, but we're going to be dropping more.
We're gonna wrap up some franchises,
some sequels.
Here. Yeah.
So we're going to be examining what is essentially Candyman 3: Day of the Dead.
Yes.
This was direct-to-video.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
This is the worst one out of all of the.
It really is.
The
It
series.
really is.
There's only 4 movies in the whole group, but you should still watch it anyways because you can't. In such a small franchise, how can you not watch one movie? And plus, there's some fun redeeming stuff about this one too.
Yeah. But we'll get into that next week. So come back here then. Until then, slash that subscribe button.
And stab the like button.
And ring the great bell so you don't get lost in the mix and can stay up to date on all of our videos. Until then, we will see you all
In the afterlife.